Professor Kobe Mensah is joining us from the University of Ghana Business School. He is a political marketing guru and strategist. Prof, thank you very much for your time. Good morning.
Johnny, thanks so much for having me. Good morning.
Good, sir. Now, Prof, the campaigns are wrapping up today. NDC, MPP, Medina, and Ayaso West Wogon constituency. First of all, have you been okay as a political marketing strategist with the way the two political parties, the major ones that is, have gone ahead with their campaigns in the last few months?
Absolutely. I think that I've been very much impressed with the campaign this year. Obviously, all the years, the political parties tend to give us some freshness, in terms of learning. I particularly, had my PhD topic, obviously from the way the political parties have actually, campaigned. And since then, I have carved, my, expertise, my career from that. We should know that the political parties are agents for many things. They are agents for leadership because they recruit young people, train them, and they become leaders of this country. They are agents for development, because they are the forefront, within the private sector. We all have to contribute towards, the bigger picture of the political parties, leading the development of the country. They're agents for identity. People, carve the identities from the political parties, obviously from ideological perspectives and from other social-cultural perspectives. And so they are not just institutions mobilizing for power. They are institutions that define our personalities as people and as a country. And so we have to be very serious and concerned about what a political party does. All right. And that's why we have to demand the right thing to be done, because they shape our destiny in this country. Very much so they do that. All right. So, yes, I'm very happy with the kind of campaign they've run this year. People say that it's been issue-based. I think that every election we have had issue-based political election campaigning. But we would say that it has been very much policy-based, because issue is one thing, policy direction is another.
Right.
Issue is about what is happening, what is going on. We can deconstruct people's problems, etc. But when you have been able to do that, you need to then carve it out into what we call policy, which is the product or the service that you intend to implement in order that people can better their lives and many other things that they look up to.
Right.
So if you look at this particular election, it has been absolutely issue-based, which every year, every electoral cycle would do. But it has also been very much policy-heavy because people have had a lot of opportunity to ask the political parties what are they going to do regarding the issues that they talk about. And they've given us amazing bouquet of different policies, some of them absolutely innovative to the extent that, if they can really do it, yes, maybe the country can change for the better. So I'm content with it.
I see. Now, the NDC and the MPP are wrapping up their campaigns. One is in Medina, one is in Ayaso West Wogon. In fact, they are right under your nose as we speak, preparing feverishly to wrap up their campaigns for today ahead of Saturday, the big day. What would you be looking out for if you were to be the examiner and to be marking them? What would you be looking at? What boxes should they be ticking?
I think that they have actually comported themselves, very well in this campaign. Obviously, there had been some infractions, but largely, I think the political parties have absolutely comported themselves to this level. They have succeeded in marketing both the issues and the policies that they want to use to solve the issues. They have done amazing work by, marketing their candidates. Even we have had opportunity to have emerging leadership, all right? We've seen, personalities that otherwise or hitherto would never expected, but they've come to the limelight, and we've seen their potential, of course. So I would expect them to hold, that particular position to demonstrate the kind of, expertise that they have brought on board, to demonstrate the unifying characteristic that we've seen, the calmness that we've seen, all right, throughout the campaign, the novelty, the innovations that we've seen throughout the campaign. I would expect them to bring that to the fore as they wrap up.
Right.
I want them to stay on message as they have done throughout the campaign, and making sure that they can drive through their final message to the people. And if the people find them worthy to be in government, certainly we're going to vote them. It shouldn't be the last day that they're going to actually mar the beautiful processes that we've had in the past cycle as we're actually going into election 2024. Let the atmosphere, let the tempo be exactly as they have demonstrated.
Right.
Charged with passion, but of course with respect to each other's position.
Campaign songs. I mean, I'm sure you've heard Sisifian, you've heard Nasi's song, you've heard Great Tampon, you heard Samini. It looks like for the NDC, it's just about Mr. Beautiful and Nasi, but the MPP has a lot more. What do you think of these campaign songs?
Now, I will be blunt. I think that the NDC's campaign song, which many people say that almost every electoral cycle, is being the top of mind, I mean, you realize that, nowhere do you go that you don't hear, what do you call 24-hour or, ping, ping, ping. That those two remarkable, campaign songs have dominated. The MPP has thrilled in this election with the campaign songs.
Right.
Previously, they were neck and neck, although the NDC was absolutely, on top with their campaign song previously. But don't forget, Lumba's, na 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 na.
That's right.
Was amazing and it was resonating with almost everybody. All right, and to the point that even after the campaign, that was what we were listening to most of the time. Clearly, in 2016, Nanado's, gospel song, that song, what's the name? I've forgotten the name of the Nanado song. That
Oye. Asem Papa, right?
Exactly. It was the marked, song that people actually trumpeted. I think this year, you couldn't really single out an MPP song that has actually, dominated, if I want to be very, honest with you. I think that the NDC, although as usual, they have, but this particular election, the MPP hadn't actually matched up to to the NDC's prowess in campaign songs. But they're very, very important campaign songs because they are the ones that can actually transmit a very hardcore political message to people who are not interested in politics, all right? Political stuff is not the kind of thing people seek, all right? And so most of the time, ordinary people shun political stuff, especially when it comes to policies. There are so many of them in town. And so you hardly can grasp, one, and then actually let it define, your decision-making. But when they're actually in their campaign song, whether it's a character of the candidate like J.A. Kofu at that time,
right,
or whether it's about a certain, emotive connection with God, like Oye, that kind of thing, or it's about 24-hour as a policy statement.
Right.
The campaign songs actually drive the message to the people who are hard to reach. When I say hard to reach, people who do not ordinarily would seek, or who ordinarily would not seek, political, message, all right? But the song gets to them at places that they would participate in, funerals, or maybe a party, etc.
Right.
And then they get to hear the candidate's name, and then they get to hear the rap of the messages or the policies that had been put out there. And so, for me, they are absolutely beautiful to our political, campaign in a season.
Now, will this translate into votes, or has there been any proof so far to show?
We cannot delineate, which of the variables actually lead to a voter voting, because you see, when you look at the decision to vote, is a process, all right, and in communication, we have what we call effect, all right, communication effect, the hierarchy of effect.
Right.
The effect starts from awareness, all right, that's to knowledge. From knowledge, you go to what we call from likeness, you go to preference. Preference, you go to what we call that word actually escapes me. Conviction, all right, and then from conviction, we get to what we call purchase, all right, as in buying. The same process, voting does. You have to be exposed, to a political party, a political individual, a political message, and then whether you like it or not, then you go to the point that you think that that message will make you vote. Although there are people who would say that political parties are agents of identity for them, and so they probably would stick with what they know right from the beginning. Majority of people are also, listening to whether you're making sense and whether your sense making is reflecting in their lives, all right? And they can only get that through the campaign messages that you're putting out. And so these instances of, hierarchy of effect, all right, contribute to your final judgment, whether you're voting for a political party or not. We cannot say a campaign song only can influence you to vote. But we cannot also say your decision to vote is minus a campaign song. They all come together to influence the voters' decision to make a decision, all right, to vote for a political party or not. So, yes, they have influence. They have what we call, escaped me now. But, they would influence your perspective of voting, you get it, or looking at a political candidate, like what we call framing in media, right? It may frame the conversation. It may frame, the kind of thoughts that you had, for a political party or for a message, for example, all right? And it will create a salience because it will bring some kind of issues that hitherto you didn't consider to the fore, all right? And then you become aware of those issues. So it depends on the influence, that we talk about. It may of doing all those things, but at the end, voting decision.
Now, Prof, before I let you go, some are also asking the question that these last day rallies, do they really have an impact? Because you go back to 2008, the MPP had the biggest rally ever, star-studded, Kwabena, A+, Daddy Lumba was at Accra Academy. The MPP in that 2008 election, even though there was a runoff, a third round in time, etc., they lost that election even with incumbency. 2016, the NDC did a similar thing. Accra Sports Stadium filled it up, star-studded. All the big boys were there, Shatawale, Muhammad Pipa, everything. The NDC went ahead and lost. Do these finale rallies really say anything at the polls, really?
If you want to see the impact, you want to do the reverse. What if you didn't actually do the rally at all? All right? And that's why they say if you think education is expensive, look at it from the perspective of, illiteracy, right? Now, it is a mobilizing activity. It is an activity to actually hold together the spirit of your people, of your backers, of your, your sympathizers, all right? And so, yes, you might have lost the election, but you cannot attribute it to the rally to say that although you had a gigantic rally, you still lost the election. That's not the conversation. The conversation is that if you do not do the rally, all right, the last-minute rally, can you or can your followers hold on to the mojo that should lead them to voting? Perhaps not. And you see, in marketing, we say that the day that Coca-Cola decides to stop advertising, that's the day they die. All right. Meanwhile, Coca-Cola has been in the system for so many years, donkey years, right? And so you would think that the consumer has Coca-Cola at the back of their mind. Immediately you stop advertising, people will be asking, but Coke, are you sure Coke is there? Because I have not been seeing them, all right? That's exactly the effect. If you don't do the rally at the final day, people are going to think that your campaign has actually derailed or there is a certain, maybe they might even speculate that the candidate is not well, all right? So you do not hold the final rally thinking that would make you win. It is about holding the soul and body of your supporters, of your sympathizers together,
right?
And then whipping them up and say, go out there and vote and let us win. So if you don't do the final rally, I think it would be disastrous than what you even enumerated.
Professor Kobe Mensah, thank you very much for spending your money with us. We're grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And he's a political marketing strategist and guru with the University of Ghana Business School. Professor Kobe Mensah there. Helen, some nuggets you got in there.
Yes, absolutely. I think yesterday I mentioned that I'd cited some type of graph. I'm desperately trying to find it that outlines what percentage of people actually are swayed by last minute messaging campaigns and all of that. And there's at least, I think, more than 10% of people you can actually win their souls, as it were, or capture their attention in the last days. So I think whilst a lot of us are planning and plotting our routes, thinking, oh my goodness, what's all this hullabaloo at the 11th hour? I think it's for good reason. Also, Prof says to whip up the excitement of the base. They are also getting ready and they want to hear from, leadership. But I think there's a small percentage that these kinds of interventions can attract.
Let's look at some campaign songs, shall we?